You walk into an izakaya.
いらっしゃいませ.
Now what?
Don't panic. I'll show you exactly what to say and do so that this doesn't happen. すみません. まったく. Whether you're traveling to Japan for the first time, whether you've lived there for a few years, navigating the izakaya can be a little bit of a different process than what we might be used to in the West. I made this video for you so that you can understand what an izakaya is and how to navigate it like a pro, and always have the courage to be able to go in and have an amazing time. A Japanese izakaya is kind of like a pub in the UK and Ireland, serving local food, quick to make drinks, having a great time with people or by yourself, and the ultimate starter for a great night out. For Americans, I would liken this kind of like a sports bar, except without this, unfortunately. Some of the best ones are off the beaten path places, aka not Shibuya Crossing or next to Sensoji Temple in Tokyo, or Dotonbori in Osaka. Those kinds of places are pretty easy to navigate, even for foreigners if you know no Japanese. Most of them will have English menus, some of them will even have English-speaking staff that will be able to help you order and have a great time as well. I'm talking more about those off the beaten path places, which personally are my favorite, and I know a lot of people want to experience too, but they can be kind of hard to walk into. You can kind of be like, I don't know if I'm going to understand the language enough. I don't know if this place is even going to have food that I want to eat or drinks that I want to drink. Maybe I'll just play it safe and go to McDonald's in the konbini. When I lived in Japan, I did go to a lot of izakayas, and even still there were some times where I had some struggles, and there were a lot of phrases that I wish I knew, etiquette and cultural rules that I wish I knew, ordering rules that I wish I knew beforehand, that I want to give to you so that you can maximize your time in Japan and have a great night out. Which leads me to my first tip: just learn Japanese. Easy, right? Boom, problem solved. Just learn Japanese. It's so easy, right? It's so easy. Just learn like the hardest language ever with like 3 different writing systems and keigo and backwards grammar that makes no sense for English speakers. I'm obviously joking. You don't have to know Japanese in order to traverse Japan or to have a great time, have a great night out. In fact, anyone can have an amazing izakaya experience. You just have to understand some rules and have some knowledge of the culture and what these places are about. And that's what we're going to do today. So without further ado, let's take on the first phase. Obviously, the little skit I had in the beginning of this video was a little dramatic, but I've personally had a lot of experiences like that where I've walked into a place and maybe not felt as welcome as I thought, and I just felt like I didn't belong and I felt scared and I left right when entering in. But the thing is that all of that was really just up here. I just didn't have the courage, I didn't have the security in myself to believe I can do this. It's just a restaurant. They want my business, I'm the customer, and there should be no reason I can't go in and enjoy some food and drinks and have a great time. So obviously, don't panic and just leave. That's probably the worst thing you can do, and honestly, just a bad impression that you may give to the staff there or the restaurant or other people there. Think about it from their perspective. An izakaya is like every other restaurant, and it's a business. They want you to come in. They want customers. And be aware of how much power that you hold as a customer in Japan. That phrase that I said in the beginning of the video, irashaimase, that phrase is how they say welcome to our store. However, irashaimase is actually keigo, which is an honorific form of Japanese, which means they are literally putting themselves below you and saying, thank you for graciously coming to our establishment. We're happy to serve you. And I'd also like to say that Japanese people do not hate foreigners, which may go against what some people think because of recent news of maybe some restaurants having a no foreigner sign or something like that. That's one bad apple in a million different amazing restaurants in Japan who would be happy for anyone to come in and enjoy their food and drinks. A lot of Japanese people take a lot of pride in what they do and want to share it with people. That's why they opened the business in the first place. Now, as a foreigner, you may get some weird looks, and that's happened to me almost every place that I've went to in Japan, especially living in a small town like I did. But those weird looks are not in a negative way at all. They just simply aren't used to it like we are in America. I remember giving a presentation to my students when I was an English teacher there, and I would show a picture of what school looked like in America, and the students were very surprised at the amount of diversity in each classroom, in each grade, in each school. Whereas in Japan, 98% of the population is Japanese. So naturally, especially if you go out in the countryside, you might be the first non-Japanese person that they've seen in weeks, in months, in years, maybe ever. You don't know. And with that can hold a lot of weight. Take some responsibility as a symbol of your country whenever you go anywhere. I am representing America with everything I do. As a foreigner in Japan, you have a responsibility to pass that baton off to the next foreigner that comes in. All in all to say, walk in like you're welcome, because you are. And first, say how many people. Now, if you don't know any Japanese, you can simply just hold up a number and say 1, please, or 2, okay? Japanese people have been learning English in school for approximately 6 to 8 years, so they will know words and some phrases. You just have to keep it simple and clearly pronunciate, and they'll understand and be able to help you. Now, if you do know some Japanese phrases, you can simply use the counter for people and simply say 一人でお願いします or 二人でお願いします 三人で四人で5人で and so on and so on. Some places will ask if you have a reservation, which I definitely recommend you doing, especially if you have a large group. I'd say more than 3 or 4 people. They may ask ご予約がございますか? In which you can simply respond with 予約があります or ありません. This leads me to my next point, which is pretty important. If there are no seats available, look out for the phrase manseki, which means we're full. Now in America or Europe, we may be used to restaurants that are very full. Sometimes it's simple, just wait a few minutes. Sometimes they'll give us a wait. Oh, we're full, the next seat will be available in 20 minutes. And that's not part of the izakaya culture. In a lot of normal restaurants in Japan, such as ramen shops or set meal restaurants, they'll have a sheet out front which you can write your name down if the restaurant's full, or there will be a queue outside that you can wait along, especially for those crowded ramen restaurants. But izakayas are different. Japanese restaurants like ramen shops or sushi restaurants or set meal restaurants are usually a place where you get your food, you eat up, and you leave. Izakayas, on the other hand, are more of a sit down and relax and then take your time and enjoy the atmosphere kind of place. It's going to be a really awkward experience. The staff will feel uncomfortable, the customers sitting down trying to take their time and enjoy their time might feel rushed, and you'll feel uncomfortable standing in this most of the time a very cramped space trying to figure out what should I do. If there are no seats available, don't wait around or ask for a wait. Simply bow. You can say わかりました、大丈夫です which means like, oh, I understand, no worries, and then leave. If not, it can be extremely awkward like this.
いらっしゃいませ。
一人でお願いします。
申し訳ございませんので、ただいま満席となっております。
待ち時間はどのぐらいかかりますか？
あれ？ちょっと。
So you've entered the restaurant. You're being led to your table. What do you expect from there? Well, you can expect something called an oshibori. Oshibori is basically just a wet towel. In the summer it's cold, in the winter it's hot. It feels great. You rub your hands on it, you can rub your arms and everything. Don't wipe your face with it. It's considered kind of weird in Japan. I've seen some do it, some don't. I don't know. Play it safe, don't wipe your face. Unless you want to, who cares? Then expect to receive what's called an otoshi. An otoshi is basically an appetizer that you didn't ask for, and it serves kind of like a table charge. It will show up in your check. It's usually about 200, 300 yen, and sometimes it's pretty good. I recommend trying. You don't have to eat it though. Sometimes they can be a little hit or miss. But don't be surprised, once you sit down, you get served food right away. And speaking of getting served food right away, little known part of Japanese culture that can go a long way to making it seem like it's not your first time here. Which leads me to my first pro tip.
This is one of Caleb's special moves where he shows you how to order beer even faster.
Today's pro tip, and maybe even tips, has to do with the phrase とりあえず生ビールお願いします. This phrase literally means first beer, and you can say this as soon as you sit down at your table or counter. Now this phrase is so ingrained in Japanese culture, it's even shortened to とり生お願いします, which means the same thing. The reason that this phrase came about is because in Japanese group settings, everyone orders a drink at the same time immediately and they get to kanpai together. So if you happen to be in a big group of people, especially if it's with a bunch of Japanese people, make sure to use that phrase so you don't feel left out. Obviously, if you're not into drinking beer, that's okay. You can literally use anything after toriaizu. Toriaizu basically means for now, and then you can add whatever drink that you want. So for example, if me and my girlfriend are out having a great time at an izakaya, we'll say, toriaizu, nama biru to shiro wine onegai shimasu. And we'll both get what we want. What this also allows for the waiting staff to already start getting something prepared to you while you have time to look over the menu or sample the otoshi that you just got. So if you want to get your drinks faster and order like a pro, use this tip. Alright, back to the next point. Most places in Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka will have a lot of touristy areas that will have many restaurants and izakayas that already have English menus that you can easily navigate and get what you want. Or if they don't have an English menu, you can use the Google Translate photo feature on your phone in order to easily see on the menu. And I definitely recommend you using that even if you're not 100% sure on your own reading ability in Japanese, just so you don't make a mistake or you don't know all the names of food, which there's a lot of food names. And I sure don't know all of them either, and I sometimes use it. However, if you go to lesser known areas of major cities or anywhere out in the countryside, it's very possible that you could get a menu like this. What? What is this? Is this Japanese? Is this a language? Is it easier to read on the back? What is all this?
ご注文はお決まりでしょうか？
You can do this. It's okay. Just find the beer.
お客様、
Okay, just calm down. You got this. You can do this. Come on.
大丈夫でしょうか？
Is it upside down? I can't even tell.
お客様、
Come on, I passed in two. I should be able to do this. Come on.
お客様、
Do I need to pass in one to read this menu?
お客様、
Well, don't freak out. Don't freak out.
救急車を呼びください。お客様がお送りになってるでしょう。
Oh gosh, oh gosh. Okay, just pick one. I'm sure anything will be fine. これお願いします。
あ、お取り差しですね。かしこまりました。
取り差し。ちょっと待って。Now that might have been a tiny bit of a dramatic reenactment, but if you understand what an izakaya is and what 99.9% of these restaurants have on their menus, even if you get a menu like this, you can still know what to expect, what is probably on the menu, and still have some great food, drinks, and a night out. So here's some staples of some food and drinks that almost all izakayas have and what you know you can get if you expect to go out. You're definitely going to have some beer, whether it's a draft beer or a bottled beer. You're going to have your whiskey highball. You're going to have the lemon sour. You're going to have shochu, which is kind of like a Japanese version of Korean soju or a less alcoholic vodka that's usually added with some flavoring, sometimes put into highballs called chuhai. And there's many different flavors from grapefruit to lime to tea to pickled plum. Obviously, you're going to have sake, or in Japanese they say nihonshu. As for food, you can always expect some kind of fried food like karaage, fried chicken. You always can expect some bar snacks such as edamame. You can usually find sashimi or some kind of fish dish, whether it be fried, grilled, or raw. And then you can find some Japanese comfort food, whether it be yakisoba or okonomiyaki or takoyaki. If you're in the mood for any of these drinks or food, I recommend going to an izakaya for them, because sometimes they do it the best. And then there are some Japanese pubs that specialize in certain foods. A personal favorite of mine is yakitori. Kushikatsu is another one. Some restaurants specialize in seafood and fresh sashimi if you want to try some real authentic sushi or sashimi. You have places that specializes in oden, which is various Japanese meats, root vegetables, and things like that. Kept in a nice warm shoyu broth, perfect for a winter's evening. You also have some high-end izakaya that some serve Michelin star quality, authentic Japanese food that are definitely worth a try if it's in your price range. And then there's also tachinomi, which in Japanese literally means stand and drink, which are usually smaller Japanese pubs where, as the name says, you stand and you drink. And you can also eat too. And there are many others out there, but that's usually the ones that you'll see. If you don't know where to go, you can go to any standard izakaya and they will have most of these foods for you to try. If you're struggling trying to figure out where you want to go, I highly recommend using Google Maps to prepare ahead of time. It's extremely easy to be able to type in basically any food you want into Google Maps, and it will give you lists of restaurants that you can click through and choose from. For example, if you want to have a good night out and you want to have yakitori in Shinjuku, you can just Hover over where you want to go in Shinjuku and type in yakitori. You'll see lots of izakayas that specialize in yakitori or have it on their menu. Highlight a few in case some of them might be fully booked, and no matter what, have a plan to enjoy your best night in Japan. Last thing on this I want to touch on is all you can eat and all you can drink, which in Japanese would be tabehodai and nomihodai. Now these can be extremely cost effective, but I will warn you that the all you can drink is not a competition, nor is it a challenge. I know it's hard for us, either Americans or in the West, to see all you can eat and all you can drink and not take it as a challenge, as 2 hours all you can drink, that's like 12 cocktails and beers. How is that even legal on earth? One thing that you need to understand is that everyone must partake of all you can eat and all you can drink. So that means if one person wants to do it, everyone's doing it. The reason for that being is that mostly all you can eat and all you can drink is usually used with big groups of people. Maybe a company is having a big nomikai or a drinking party, and they just want to make it easy for the staff. Everyone's getting the same thing. We're all getting this set menu of things we can eat and drink. That way at the end of the party, when they're calculating the check, it's all equal. And very rarely will you see Japanese people treat all you can eat and all you can drink like a challenge or a competition like many of us in the West would. That's why it's something that they do in Japan, and it's why it's something they don't do in Europe or America. But again, understand the rules, be respectful, and have a great night. Now that we get all that out of the way, let's get to the part where most of you probably clicked the video for, and that's ordering in an izakaya is very much similar to ordering at any kind of restaurant in Japan. There's a certain rhythm and a certain rules that you always need to follow, and an izakaya is no exception. First thing I want to touch on is talking to people that don't speak any Japanese, nor intend to, which is totally fine. If you don't speak Japanese, you can have an amazing izakaya experience as always. You're going to be able to use English and order just fine in most cases, but don't assume that they know every English word or they know your native pronunciation for that word. They may have learned English their entire adolescent life, but that doesn't mean they're going to know every single word in the native language of other countries. But good for English speakers, there are a lot of examples of Japanese words that come from English origins, and they will know even if you say it in their native accent. For example, beer, or in Japanese, biru, a whiskey highball. Highball, a gin and tonic. Gin tonic, whiskey, straight. Whiskey, straight. Wine, wine. See, easy. However, there are some English words that we say that we think they might know, but they won't. They'll have no idea. For example, French fries, fried potato, pork, buta, chicken wings, tebasaki, bourbon, babon. That's a tricky one because babon and bourbon are the same, but the Japanese usually don't understand that sound that we have in American English, at least. For the Brits out there, you may be able to say something like, oh yes, some bourbon would be quite nice actually. But for us Americans, they're not going to understand bourbon. For them, it's babon. But if you're ordering in English at an izakaya, try to use very easy phrases, one word at a time. Use Google Translate too if you can. Just try to communicate any way you can. We're all adults here, we'll figure it out. If you are a Japanese learner like myself, or you've been learning Japanese or practice a few phrases, now is the time to use it. I highly encourage you to try and use your Japanese. And it goes such a long way because the staff there will appreciate a foreigner that took the time to actually learn their language and is trying their best to communicate with them. The first thing you're going to want to do when you're ready to order is you're going to want to press this little button near the table. This is a mistake that a lot of people make, and it's a key cultural difference between restaurants in, for example, in America versus restaurants in Japan. In restaurants in America, we're very used to waiters coming by whenever they feel like it, just to check up on the table, which is good because they come around pretty often. But say you just ran out of water or you need more ranch dressing. Usually you always have the feelings that right when you need something, the waiter's nowhere to be found. In Japan, they have a great system with this where you just press this little button on the table and it lets the waiting staff know that you're ready to order or that you need something, and they usually come right away. If you don't know this and you go into restaurants and izakayas in Japan, you'll notice that you'll be sitting there ready to order your food and wondering, when's the waiter gonna come over? I'm really hungry, I'm really ready to eat. Meanwhile, the waiting staff is probably waiting on you to make the first move. They may be standing over in the corner just like, when are these people gonna order some food? They've been sitting there for like 20 minutes. If they don't have that button, the proper way in Japanese culture to call the waiting staff over is to literally put up your hand and go, "Sumimasen," like, excuse me. And trust me, it's not rude to do that. Japanese people do it all the time, and it's really just their way of getting the attention of the waiting staff. It was a little hard for me as an American to be used to that because I picture myself at TGI Fridays going, excuse me, is anyone there? Can I get some ranch dressing, huh? but it's not seen like that, so just put yourself out there and do your best to get their attention. It will be hard to get used to and will be awkward sometimes, and you will have a situation where maybe you do that and you actually don't get their attention, and then now you feel like a fool. すみません. But it's okay, you'll get your chicken on sticks soon, okay? I promise. Finally, the waiting staff comes over and they ask, ご注文お決まりでしょうか? Which literally means, have you decided on your order? And now I'm going to give you 6 Japanese ordering phrases you can use to order basically anything on any menu. The first one is the simple sentence structure of 何々お願いします or 何々をください. For example, 生ビールをお願いします ハイボールをください. Or you can use the to particle to connect multiple things you want to order at once. For example, 生ビールと手羽先をください. You can use that phrase to order basically anything. The next one I want to go to is the classic cheers in Japanese, which is 乾杯. Or if you're in a big group and you're ready to cheers, thrust your arms right in the middle of the table, 乾杯! The next one is for if you don't know what to order, or maybe you can't read the menu and you want to be adventurous, or you just want to try the restaurant specialty, you can ask おすすめはなんですか? Which literally means, what do you recommend? For the example for a menu like this, that's something I would do. I would take a look. If I can't read anything, I would just ask the recommendation. おすすめは何ですか? 鳥刺しですね. Ah, そうですか.ちょっと. The fourth phrase I want to show you is おまかせ and 盛り合わせ. おまかせ means kind of like, I let you handle it, or I trust you to do it. And this is usually used at like a yakitori or a kushikatsu restaurant. You can say yakitori omakase onegai shimasu. And the trained yakitori chef will pick out 5 or 6 of his recommended yakitori varieties and let you try them. And moriawase is kind of like assortment and can be used at a sashimi restaurant. You can ask sashimi moriawase onegai shimasu. And you can get something like this, which is like lots of different kinds of sushi to try. You may find a new favorite. The next phrase is really important and one I use a lot. Okawari and mo ippai. Okawari literally means replacement, as in, please replace this empty beer with a full one. Where mo ippai literally means one more. Or, in my case, おかわりお願いします。もう一杯お願いします。おかわりお願いします。もう一杯お願いします。おかわり。And my last phrase I want to show you is really important, which means it's time for another pro tip.
This is another one of Caleb's special moves, where he shows you how to order even more food after you've already had lots of food.
So my second pro tip has a lot to do with the last one, and it still includes the word とりあえず, and the phrase is とりあえず以上です. After you're done ordering the first round of food, your waiter might say 以上でよろしいでしょうか? Will that be all? For a while I would always respond with 以上です, which means that's all. But sometimes if you're at a place like yakitori or kushikatsu, you're ordering multiple rounds of food. One of my favorites is a yakitori place called Yakitori Smile. You can find it in most cities. Whenever me and my partner go traveling and we're in a city for a few nights, we always look and see if there's a Yakitori Smile nearby that we can get our yakitori fix. But the menu is so big, we want to try so many different things, but we want to have multiple rounds of ordering. And if you use the phrase 以上です, which means that's all, sometimes the waiter will come back with the check after the first round of food. But I'm not done eating and drinking yet. That's where the word とりあえず comes in handy. とりあえず means for now. So, once you're done ordering, saying とりあえず以上です, that's implying that's all for now, but we're probably going to order more food later. Hope that comes in handy for you, especially if you're going to a place like yakitori. Of course, once you know this will be the last round of ordering, you can say 以上です, which lets the waiter know that, okay, I think I'm actually done this time. And we'll get to how to ask for the check very soon. As a bonus, I want to also talk about something in Japanese called counters. If you're a Japanese learner, you know of these, and it can be the bane of your existence. But 2 that are really important for you to know is the counter for cups and the counter for long, thin things. When you're counting cups and glasses, you can say 1杯、2杯、3杯. For example, 生ビール2杯をください. Or if you're counting yakitori sticks, 1本、2本、3本. For example, 豚バラ2本をください. 豚バラ3本をください. Also at izakayas, it's very common to reorder food as well using the phrase 追加注文したいんですか? Different than how we order food in the West, where normally we order all of our food at once. In Japan, it's very common to reorder food multiple times in case you want to try more food. In which case, just press that button and do the process all over again. Also, I'd say during your dining experience, be prepared to be asked where you're from and what you're doing in Japan. And remember, just relax and enjoy this experience and put yourself out there and try new things. Japan is a wonderful land filled with a lot of wonderful people. So make the most of it, and above all, just have a great time. Okay, you've had your fill. You ate, you drank, you were merry, you've had a great time, but now it's time to get the check. A quick tip when you're getting the check, don't use the word bill, unless you want this to happen. Bill, please. For native Japanese, the word bill can sound very similar to the word biru, which is beer in English. So unless you want to order another beer, use the word okaike or okanjo, or even chekku can work as well. Also another thing, many of you might know this, but Japan is not a tipping culture. It can even be seen as rude. Some establishments in Tokyo are starting to accept tips, mostly because foreigners don't know, end up leaving it on the table anyways. So they have been putting out maybe tip jars or something like that. But 99.9% of the time, you don't have to worry about it. The price you see on the check is the price you need to pay. That's it. Another tip to consider is something that I do when I'm traveling. If I end up going to an izakaya or any restaurant that I like, and I really enjoy the food and atmosphere and have a good time, I always like to star it or save it on Google Maps for later. That way, if I'm ever in the area, I always know where to find a good meal and a good time. Also consider leaving a review on Google for the restaurant. Japan tends to have a very high turnover rate when it comes to restaurants opening and closing, so leaving a review, especially in English, can help a small local restaurant attract new customers or tourists whenever they come into town and be great for business for them. And no one wants to see a good establishment end up closing down. Once you paid the check, you're free to leave. You just had an amazing izakaya experience and one that you won't forget. Unless you did the all-you-can-drink nomi hodai, in which case you might not remember much. Thanks for watching this video. If you're a Japanese learner like me, some of the words and phrases that I use in this video I'm going to put in the description below, so copy it to a Google Doc or something for yourself to practice later. And if you want to know how you can have an amazing izakaya experience at home, come back next time. I got something good for you. See you later.